A bunch of really dumb kids, some very short-lived romances, and a boatload of prize money that no one is ever going to win. Welcome to the Total Drama Retrospective. Yeah. Total Drama is an animated series produced in Canada, which should come as no surprise by this point because, as we all know by now, Canada made everything that we watched as a kid. It was created by Fresh TV, the same guys responsible for 16 and Stoked. No one but me remembers Stoked, I know. It originally started out as a sort of satire of survival reality TV shows, most obviously Survivor. But due to its immediate popularity, you can see with the seasons the shift into just becoming a comedic cartoon centered around a reality show, with the jabs at Survivor becoming much less frequent. Now, I've never seen the original Survivor, but I guarantee it is nowhere near as entertaining as this. And by the way, in case you're wondering how I can see out of this, I can't. Every season was hosted by this absolute hunk of a man, Chris McLean.
Chris, can I have your autograph?
Nope, but you can let us bud to the front of the line.
Ah, Chris, you lovable bastard.
Okay, you look so familiar.
I'm Chris McLean, the host of the show.
I'm not gay. I'm not.
No! I've had it with the singing and the taming of the animals. Scuba Bear, do your job and eat the girl!
The guy's a goddamn psychopath. Chris, what are you doing, man?
Hey, it's my show. I can do what I want. Watch.
The original season started out with 22 contestants, each with their own distinct designs and personalities. I may not have liked all of them, but I can sure as hell remember them, which clearly means I did a good job. You got Owen, the lovable fart joke dispenser. Seriously, I do not remember there being this many fart jokes in the show.
Me like beans.
Heather. Well, we all know Heather. Gwen, everyone's gateway into the world of goth girls. Harold, a very dated Napoleon Dynamite reference. Justin. Wait, what was I talking about? Lindsay, a girl out to rival my own intelligence.
Where are the outlets? I have to plug in my straightening iron.
There are some in the communal bathrooms just across the way.
Communal bathrooms? But I'm not Catholic.
Izzy, the one I'm still convinced is completely insane. Courtney, the love of my 10-year-old self's life. Eva, the Duncan, the edgiest edgelord of all time who we all rooted for anyway, let's be honest. Katie and Sadie, who shit in the ocean at one point. Noah. He sure exists. DJ, I'm not gay but. Tyler, the jock. Lashana, the dancing queen. Ezekiel, what the average viewer of the show looks like. Jeff and Bridget, the absolute worst kind of couple. Beth, the adorable nerd. Cody, the simp for Gwen. And Trent, who doesn't deserve half the shit that happens to him in the show. By the way, I only just learned, these guys are meant to be teenagers?
You're all 16 years old.
What? Since when? How? None of these guys look 16. Maybe Beth, I guess, but
Which means...
what? Did anyone else know this, or do they just never mention it? I was always thinking like early 20s at least. Maybe this is common knowledge, but I honestly never knew. Kind of puts a whole new perspective on the show for me. Okay, well at least Chris is 30. That one makes sense. Wait, but that means... Oh god! There was also Chef, the chef, who would tag along with Chris in almost every season and was definitely not getting paid enough. Or at all. The very first season, Total Drama Island, originally aired in 2008 and would go on to spawn like a billion more seasons. Island took place on an absolute piece of shit called Camp Wawanakwa. The main goal of the show was the same as all reality TV. Survive the challenges, try not to be eliminated at the end of every episode, which you do by befriending the other contestants and by being hot, and overall compete for a prize of 100,000 fictional dollars. And in terms of challenges, Chris sure had a talent for coming up with some of the dumbest shit to get these poor kids to do. I mean, their very first one ever forced them to jump off an 1,000 feet high cliff into water filled with sharks.
I'm going to die now.
He's gonna die.
I remember how stressed out watching these challenges used to make me. I was always so worried who was gonna get eliminated. The following season, Total Drama Action shook things up by taking place on a movie set, with each challenge being based on a different genre. 14 of the original cast were back, mostly the fan favorites. And Heather. It was more of the same, just in a location with a lot more variety. And they also introduced the Aftermath special, where they parodied those trashy recap filler episodes and rounded up some of the previously eliminated cast so they could all shit talk each other.
Hurry it up!
I
will not let you spoil the nail-biting tension I am deliberately weaving here.
World Tour, the third season, is my personal favorite of all of them for the fact that, as the name implies, the challenges take place in various locations across the globe, resulting in exactly the kind of jokes you'd expect.
I say, I'm the queen. Oh, heavens. I think I ate too many royal beans at the royal luncheon.
That, and they tossed in musical segments that Chris forced them to sing at the absolute worst possible times.
Seriously? I mean, seriously?
And let me tell you, some of these are absolute bangers.
Should I stop? Should I duck? Where's the love? Stop, stop to a pole. Stop, stop, stop to a pole.
3 new characters joined the fray. Blaine Lee, the host from the Aftermath specials in action. Sierra, a stalker for Cody, who is legitimately terrifying.
It's EpiPen time, bunny face.
What's in that tea?
And Alejandro, the male Heather who made everyone swoon with his dashing looks, only to end up in the finale shoved inside of a robot after having every bone in his body broken. Jesus Christ, Chris. One of my favorite parts was the introduction of the Jack the Ripper subplot that spanned multiple episodes. It scared and intrigued the hell out of me as a kid.
Goodbye, first class.
What was that? Did you see that? Eventually, it's revealed to be Ezekiel, as in the guy who was eliminated super early on in the show. And by the end, he attempts to sabotage the finale, only to fucking die. He shows up later though, he's all good. Revenge of the Island returns to Camp Wawanakwa, but with an all-new cast of 13 characters, all of which I can barely remember by name. I think it's super cool of them to try again with a completely new group, even if I never got quite as attached to them as the originals that I knew and hated so much. Oh god damn it, not you too! Since the island had gone unused for 2 whole seasons, it was repurposed as a toxic waste dump, which Chris apparently thought was totally fine to host a reality show on. So radiation affecting the island and its wildlife is a central theme of the season. The main newly introduced couple this time round were Mike and Zoe, the former of which having to deal with his numerous multiple personalities that led to some very hit and miss gags. As for the rest of the cast, they were alright, I guess. Fuck you, Scott.
Woo! That was a close one. Phew! Thanks, creepy girl.
You're safe now, little one.
Wait, I take back everything I said before. I don't remember who this is, but I love her.
And Dawn.
Your aura is exceptionally purplish green.
Dawn. Dawn is my new favorite character.
It's right there in your aura, between your bladder control issues and your need to be dominated.
I don't need to be dominated.
You can dominate me, Dawn!
Traitor in your midst is...
No! Never mind, this season fucking sucked. In the end, Chris gets his long-deserved comeuppance, getting arrested for his heinous crimes against a bunch of teenagers and probably all of the environment, which, to be honest, is fair enough. The final proper season was split into 2 halves that continued on from one another. All Stars, which brought on the best contestants from both the original cast and Revenge of the Island, except for Dawn. The focus of this one was heroes versus villains, which was done solely so that they could put Alejandro and Heather on the same team. The grand finale saw Camp Wawanakwa finally being put out of its misery, meaning that the next season had to take place in another setting, which was Pahkitew Island. Pahkitew.
Total Drama Pahkitew Island!
That one, containing yet another brand new cast of characters who for the most part are even more forgettable. For the most part. A lot of people seem to hate this season, but I remember having a pretty good time with it, even if it doesn't have as strong a cast as its 2 predecessors. Then there were the 2 spin-offs, the first of which being the Redonkulous Race, an obvious parody of The Amazing Race, with a cast of 36 characters. Jesus, that's a hell of a lot. Mostly all new ones with only a couple returning favorites in there.
Beneath my manly-sized 13 brogues, 18 teams are arriving at this historic train station ready to embark on a race around the world. I'm your host, Don.
Wait a minute, you're not Chris! How dare you stand where he once stood! I guess I now know why I never watched Redonkulous Race. Don. The most recent incarnation is Total Dramarama, which features the characters as toddlers in a daycare. Because why not, I guess. I always loved how empty the shows would become towards the end with barely any contestants remaining, and they always did a really good job with the finales, one-upping themselves nearly every time in how utterly absurd the challenges would be.
Total Drama!
There was never actually any set winners though, because every season had 2 alternate endings that broadcast in different countries, which made things very confusing whenever I looked them up online. Island's original winners were either Owen or Gwen, Actions was Duncan or Beth, Heather or Alejandro for World Tour, so it's really just the lesser of 2 evils, Cameron or Lightning for Revenge, Mike or Zoe in All Stars, and Sean or Sky in Pahkitew. What was actually canon, I do not know. And according to Wikipedia, the cast members who worked on the show actually had to sign a confidentiality agreement so that they couldn't reveal who the winner was before the finale aired. In spite of it being a parody, this shit was taken seriously.
What exactly is going on here?
Okay, maybe not. How the hell any of this was ever allowed on television, I do not know. But I guess this is the same channel that once allowed this.
You pissed me off.
So, the Australian broadcast of the show didn't censor anything as far as I can remember, unlike the Cartoon Network one, which apparently cut out a lot of the cruder jokes. So we got all of the wardrobe malfunctions and disturbingly graphic makeout scenes, as well as the copious amounts of vomit gags. Honestly, for once, I totally understand why Cartoon Network had to cut these. They are not fun to look at. But if they cut all the kissing scenes, then how will we know who got together, huh? I need to know all that juicy goth. I was really into this as a kid, okay? I think this show was totally not for kids revelation is pretty damn clear by now.
And all that bad stuff people say about you is true. Like how you're a two-faced, backstabbing, lying little...
The original seasons at least were definitely not. They were aimed at a young teen sort of audience who all thought this edgier kind of humor was the shit. It's only just occurred to me that nearly all of the characters' heads are just flat. Like, look, that's just a straight line. How did I never notice this stuff before? Now, obviously, with its immense popularity, Total Drama amassed itself one hell of a fandom. I'm not sure what's going on here, but it sure is something. Don't look up Total Drama on DeviantArt. Seriously, don't do it. I guess this is what happens when you hit that really unfortunate demographic of like 10 to 13-year-olds. I really don't like the word tween, but it basically sums it up the best, yeah. The characters getting in and out of relationships with each other obviously served as major plot points throughout, much like I assumed the actual Survivor did, and both were just as scripted. Every season also had confessional segments throughout the episodes where the characters could chime in and give their thoughts on presently occurring events, even if sometimes it was right in the middle of a challenge. Like, how did that work? Did they leave the challenge and then come back? Did they just have a really good memory and do it after? This has always bothered me.
This is the stupidest thing I've ever been a part of, and I've been on this show for 2 seasons.
In Ireland, it was an outhouse and got progressively less disgusting from there. While I was doing research for this video, I stumbled across the original prototype for Total Drama Island that I'd somehow never seen before in spite of being a self-professed hardcore Total Drama fan. I'm so sorry, Chris. Camp TV. Only a 2-minute promo for it exists that essentially introduces the cast and the general plot, but as we can see, plenty of things were altered for the final release, and definitely for the better. For one, Lindsay had Heather's voice and character traits,
I thought this was supposed to be a talent contest.
which would have been interesting. It wasn't just her though. Duncan, Harold, Jeff, Lashawna, and Trent were also there, among a couple of other characters that eventually went unused. There was this generic guy, these 2 generic guys, and him, who would later end up as one of the contestants in Revenge of the Island, and I'm really happy for him. Gwen was there too. Kinda. It's still evident in the credits of every Total Drama episode as it closes out with Camp TV Productions. Rest in peace, you uncanny mess. The co-creator of Total Drama, Tom McGillis, once said that he initially hoped the series would reach 10 seasons, but as shown from a Reddit AMA he did in 2018, he said, quote, there wasn't a market for this experience in the wider entertainment marketplace right now, which was to say that it isn't Teen Titans Go, which may explain why this exists. That's not to say Total Drama is completely dead, but it's for sure nowhere near the powerhouse that it used to be in its heyday, which is odd to me because reality shows are for some reason as popular as ever, and have somehow gotten even stupider. I'd totally be up for another Total Drama season spoofing a different kind of reality show like The Bachelor or Hell's Kitchen.
Where's the lamb sauce?
I guess we won't know until something happens, but rest assured, Chris McLean is still out there plotting the next way he can torture a bunch of teenagers in unethical but somehow still legal ways.
Total Drama Island! If you need to take a moment and reminisce about the great times you had here...
Special thank you to this month's top Patreon donators: Ender Pigman 9, Overpowered Banana, Primal, Sergio Arturo 1117, and Zion Trail. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Total Drama! Yeah, we're not doing that. Ah!